with future plans and more. This is Pro Wrestling Central. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. After predicting that AEW will be averaging 300,000 viewers for Dynamite by the end of the year, Eric Bischoff took aim at the promotion's fans, saying on 83 Weeks, "I do like screwing with their ridiculously stupid, willfully ignorant fan base who just absolutely collapse and overreact to anything that is said about AEW. They are the lowest of low. They're the low-hanging fruit that's so low to the ground, the fruit's starting to rot on the vine. That's the typical online AEW fan base, and collectively the dumbest group of people I think I've ever been exposed to. You may hate it, and you AEW low-hanging rotten fruit fanboys may cry. It may ruin your freaking day, but here's why. Because it's the truth." Criticizing the booking on Raw yesterday, Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, "Every main event, Bron Breakker is going to spear everybody," Meltzer said. "Every week ends with Bron Breakker going over. He spears someone. That's their long-term goal. It's Bron Breakker. That's what this show is booked around," Alvarez added. "These matches are pretty good, and then in virtually every single match, interference directly leading to the finish. Just over and over and over and over again." Meltzer then said, "They've created a situation where fans understand that you don't get clean finishes, ever, or rarely. That's what pro wrestling is now, interference to build up the pay-per-view. The crowd booed Jey Uso. I thought that was impossible, but they sure accomplished it. LA Knight is in that spot to be the babyface who has a good match, talks great, and then Bron Breakker spears him at the end of the show." With Stephanie VAQUER'S segment on Raw this week canceled, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said, "So I had talent telling me they didn't know what was going on. Like Raw talent telling me they didn't know what was happening with Stephanie VAQUER. There was confusion. When I asked people within WWE what the deal was, they were like, oh, well, she's still doing the match. That's what we were all told today, that she would be at the show doing the match for WrestlePalooza. There's probably more than meets the eye there, but WWE is adamant that the match is going to happen." Asked what her biggest regret was in WWE, Brie Bella noted on her podcast, "I guess a huge regret was the way I felt like I needed to come back when I was 7 months postpartum, maybe at the time, maybe 10, and I think as we were filming both reality shows, they were really pushing me to be like, get back in the ring, let's do like a Brie comeback, but I did not feel ready, and I kind of just let everyone plan everything for me. For so long, I did everything for everyone, especially when we were filming the reality show. I felt obligated, almost like I owed everyone something. So if someone asks something of me, I just did it without thinking, like, do I want to? Am I ready? I never thought about myself. So I did so much for so many people, like a people pleaser mentality, that I think I did a disservice to myself until I got into my 40s. You know what I mean?" Revealing that he was interested in facing John Cena during his retirement tour in WWE, Rob Van Dam told Inside the Ring, "Let me tell you this, yeah, I wanted to be one of the return matches for John Cena on his retirement tour. I was talking to them and there was a lot of interest. Without giving away too many details, we were probably going to do it, and then I broke my heels. Everything happens for a reason though, so let's look at it that way." Going over the involvement of Triple H and The Undertaker in AAA creative, Ernesto Ocampo of Super Lucha said, "What we know is that Triple H actually has no involvement in AAA's creative side, but with WWE's new narrative, it's important for him to appear as the genius behind it all. The main producer and chief creative officer is Jeremy Borash, supported by Conan, who is the most familiar with the direction of the company, though he now acts more as an advisor. The Undertaker doesn't really have an official position. He just wanted to attend AAA events and continue supporting them, and there's no one as passionate about the product as he is." Despite just returning to AEW, Wardlow is already injured again, with Fightful Select reporting. Sources in AEW that we spoke to said that the injury is feared to be a torn pectoral muscle, which would sideline him for quite some time. There is the possibility he could remain on TV in an enforcer role. A number of talent we spoke to were bummed out about the news after Wardlow had waited so long to get back on TV and battled injuries. Dave Meltzer and Bryan Alvarez talked about it on Wrestling Observer Radio, with Meltzer saying, "Yeah, I tell you what, torn pec. That's like 6 to 8 months. More probably." Alvarez added, "I did hear from one person that they weren't sure the severity of it, so I don't know if it's a full tear or just a partial tear, but he definitely tore his pec and he's going to be gone for a little while." Meltzer then said, "They don't know the severity of it, but he's going to need surgery. It's going to be a long time. It's a lariat on Stokely is what I think happened, and it just went. He was set to do some stuff. He's on one TV and then he disappeared." It appears WWE could be planning a farewell angle for AJ Styles, as Dave Meltzer said this on Wrestling Observer Radio. Okay, so what happened was, in the United States, we have commercials. Whenever they do the breaks in foreign countries, they do not have the commercials. They have guys doing promos or video packages or things like that. They had AJ do a promo, and AJ went out there and basically said that he has no friends here, and he's, kind of like complaining about booking and that Carl Anderson and Gallows aren't there and Meechin's on SmackDown. They're doing the social media storyline. AJ had the hourglass thing with the idea that my time is running out. So, his contract, the word is out, his contract is up in February. He's talked about this. He said, "I'm not going to be wrestling after the age of 40. I think he's 47, 48 now. If it was on the US show, everybody would go, it's a storyline. But because it was during the commercial, now people are going, wait, that wasn't scripted?" It seems a star's time in WWE could have ended, with Ringside News writing, WWE has quietly moved the former Sarah Logan to the alumni section of its official website, marking the end of her second stint with the company. The move follows her announcement back in early June that her WWE contract would not be renewed. Valhalla, who is married to Eric of the Viking Raiders, had been off WWE television since early 2024. She gave birth in November 2024 and never returned to programming prior to her official exit. With her contract now expired, WWE has removed her from the active roster and filed her alongside other former superstars. She made a return to WWE on the November 11th, 2022 episode of SmackDown, flanking the Viking Raiders during a brutal beatdown on Hit Row and Legado del Fantasma. Valhalla remained a staple in their act for over a year, involved in short feuds with Maxine Dupree and even WWE announcer Michael Cole, who could forget her hilarious Royal Rumble moment with R-Truth. Though she wasn't featured in a championship run during her latest WWE stint, Valhalla's presence brought depth and character to the Viking Raiders' presentation, and her sudden transition to the alumni page closes the book on that chapter. Previously, The Rock was seen at the Venice Film Festival, where it looked as though he lost a significant amount of weight. While he was at the Toronto Film Festival this week, The Rock revealed this was done for a role in Lizard Music, telling Variety, "I have lost much of the 30 pounds of muscle." The Rock had told the director of the film, Benny Safdie, "I am your chicken man." In some unfortunate news, a former WWE and WCW name has passed away, as Ringside News wrote that Chuck Coates, who worked for WWF, WCW, and numerous independent promotions across the Carolinas, has passed away at the age of 63. Coates had been battling serious heart issues after bypass surgery and underwent 4 additional operations in recent weeks. He had also beaten cancer 3 times during his adult life. A native of Raleigh, North Carolina, Coates broke into the wrestling business in the 1980s and became a familiar face as an enhancement talent on both WWF and WCW programming. He stepped into the ring with stars like the Big Boss Man, Akeem, Sting, and Dusty Rhodes, playing both heel and babyface roles depending on the storyline. Coates' work extended far beyond national TV. On the independent scene, he wrestled for SAPW and NAWA, portraying one of the villainous German stormtroopers, a gimmick he also took to Puerto Rico's WWC, where he feuded with Rex King and Ray Gonzalez. In North Carolina, he regularly performed under a mask on The Russian Assassin for the Italian Stallions PWF promotion, and later worked as Mad Max across several mid-Atlantic territories. By the late 1990s, Coates returned to WWF television, facing up-and-coming names like Kurt Angle on secondary shows. He continued wrestling under his real name in PWF Mid-Atlantic and remained active for decades, with his final match taking place earlier this year. His wife, Cynthia Lucas Chandler Coates, shared the news on Facebook with a heartfelt message. "This is not a post I ever thought I'd have to make. My wonderful husband, Chuck Coates, took his last breath on earth and his first breath in heaven at 3:44 a.m. while I held his hand. Please pray for our family as we navigate the days ahead." Chuck Coates leaves behind a long and varied wrestling career, remembered for his versatility, toughness, and decades of dedication to the sport. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.